action.
It's critical science, isn't it?
Yeah. Critical theory.
I just need to look that up. No, I don't have anything.
The whole leading from within, is that Parker's? And so how would we kind of capture, I mean, how does that become
Nora, would you be willing to, like, what would be a goal for leading from within? And what would be an objective? And what would be an assessment to get at that? Because we're saying that it is a critical concept. We need to turn it into some sort of teachable something in this math.
I could think about that.
To try your hand on that?
Try that one.
Okay.
How are self-awareness and personal dimensions, how are they different? I mean, I suppose here are a set of personal dimensions that a successful leader would have. For example, awareness of their defensiveness, what's motivating for them, their learning style, etc. All those kinds of things. But how is that different than maybe from self-awareness?
I know one of the things that we talked about was thinking of this in sort of a developmental process, that this that a starting point had to be different ways of who you are and what your motivations are, and I know that's a big thing in the servant leadership arena, that you start with the question, why do you want to be a leader? Is it about power, or is it about service? Is it about yourself, or is it about others?
So then self-awareness is sort of the awareness piece, and then maybe the personal dimensions are what attributes do I need to either own or change, or what are some of the personal dimensions about me now that I've become aware of myself that could interfere with or promote effective leadership?
Well,
I think this is starting to come back.
Okay.
The self-awareness piece is that know thyself.
Mm-hmm.
The personal dimensions piece is in taking on a leadership role, leadership responsibilities, how do you sort of juggle everything?
The personal dimensions with the professional challenges.
Yeah, how does that impact your life?
Or your response to equity, diversity, and inclusiveness. That might be a good, yeah, I hear you.
In fact, the one book I think I shared with you, the whole theme of it is sort of balancing your leadership and putting it in the context of the rest of your life, and not allowing it to overwhelm your life. It becomes a part of your life.
What book is that? Sounds good.
I can't remember. It was one that I found, and then Lori was interested in it. And
yeah, sounds good.
Because it's more like the impact that leadership has on your own personal
Right.
self.
and your well-being.
Yeah, and your well-being.
Do you know the name of it?
I have it in my
I had it
office.
written
Oh,
down.
would you mind?
Sure, when
lending it
we're
to
done,
me?
we'll just go down to my office and I'll
I
show
don't
it
know.
to you.
Yeah, that's great.
Look like a great book.
what I can see embedded in this is this notion of principled leadership.
Principle-centered leadership kind of thing?
Yeah, like you're supposed to sort of, I went through some leadership training. The thought was that you were supposed to situate who you are and what you're about, and what are your main principles as a leader.
Mm-hmm.
So it was an exercise to sort of get at what is your core, what do you already possess that you feel is a tangible, connected, continuous part of you. These are the things that you don't want to sacrifice, and you want to filter a lot of your decisions around those types of things. And so I think that there's that kind of notion is embedded in here. Like when I talk about the principles of my leadership, I talk about transparency, intentionality, and collaboration. And like a lot of my decisions are filtered through those kind of principles. So getting the people to think about their core and how they build their own principles. In this whole struggle with, what, we always talk about leading with integrity. Exactly what is integrity? What does that mean? What does that look like? How does that, how do you make decisions with integrity?
And I think that whole concept of integrity fits in with how do you balance your professional life with your personal life, and are you being, what's your,
Be yourself, is your, what you
Do you have
know.
integrity?
In fact, I
Integrity in
think
both
that
of
the
those,
author
yeah.
uses the word integrity, if I remember right.
Yeah, part
Yeah.
all
Yeah, it
reflects
sounds like-
identity and integrity. And that's what the goal is, to match your role with yourself. And what you are on the inside is being matched by how you are on the outside to other people and how they perceive you, and that you're really being true to yourself in what you do and how you act and what you say.
Plutarch, a Roman person who talked about morality, he says, you focus on like morality. What is morality? He talks about justice and moderation, courage, and wisdom, and that's what a principal leader is. That should be a leader with morality. And I think a part of this leader is learned piece is looking at some of the theoretical and the wisdom of others who've talked about these various things. And we have to unpack that.
Yeah, and I don't know if we have, we're probably going to have something that, in a narrative or something that describes this, but to me, a good part of what we've been talking about is there's knowing yourself and then knowing what are the alternatives, whether they're models of leadership or theories of leadership, and then negotiating between those two. What fits between who you are and what it is that you ascribe to or choose as a model that you're going to follow. Like yours, it's Parker Palmer is sort of your
Or
mentor or guru, or I don't know what the right word is. And the servant leadership, it's is it Greenleaf? God, there's so many different
It'll be kind of interesting if you had a candidate who applied, for example, who was really of the authoritarian mentality and of the authoritarian core personality. You don't change a lot of some of those core personality traits and your level of comfort in terms of how you take on responsibility and making responsible decisions. So what happens, theoretically, are we saying that the authoritarian managerial personality probably is not compatible with our program? I'm just wondering, just kind of.
Well, I would hope that we would, somewhere along the line, we would say that there's decisions, there are consultative decisions, there's collaborative decisions, there's authoritative decisions, and that you as an effective leader has to know the various types of decision making and when to choose which one.
Contextual discernment.
that situation.
Yeah, but there are some people who just can't make that adjustment, and so that's sort of, I'm wondering, is this, in some regards, it could serve as somewhat of a screening, because we are asking those individuals to take on, if they don't already have them, to take on new skill sets and attributes, personal attributes, because you can't just teach someone to be compassionate or a good listener or collaborative. You can and you can't. If your core personality is not collaborative in nature, or not others oriented, I think it's very difficult. So anyway,
Actually, if I can, I put that down as an area for recommendation, because I think we did have discussions that the recruitment, and there should be recruitment, and there should be some process of selection that in which people who are committed to the kinds of things that are talked about here, the equity, diversity, inclusiveness piece, some people simply do not adhere to that.